Let's work on your two half sheets. Notice that mine look a little bit different than yours, but rest assured they're the same. So let's start first with the sheet with the exponents. We'll do the first column together, and then the rest you can do on your own. Basically, we're going to write these in expanded form. Let's look at the exponent. I want to make sure you understand exactly what that exponent applies to. The exponent applies to only the number or the letter that comes right before it. The only exception is if you have parentheses. In this first one, only the A has the exponent of 4. So when I write it in expanded form, I have 1, 3, and then I multiply A by itself 4 times. On to the second one. Now, notice the 4 applies to everything inside the parentheses. So that means you have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 times itself 4 times, and then A times itself 4 times. Now, this is expanded form, although I like to take it one more step and actually multiply out the numbers. So I've got 3 times 3 is 9, and the other 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 times 9 is 81. So it's not technically an expanded form anymore when I put all the numbers together, but I want you to get comfortable with seeing how 3 to the 4th power is 81. Now 5 times A times B to the 3rd. The 3 only applies to the B, so when I write this one in expanded form, I have 5 times A times B times B times B. Very simple. Notice the next two have parentheses right before the exponent. So on this one, the 3 applies to both the A and the B. So we have 5 times A times A times A times B times B times B. On the last one, the parentheses is around the entire thing. It's around 5 and A and B. So that gives us 5 times itself 3 times, A times itself 3 times, and B times itself 3 times. To truly put it in expanded form, you're done here. But because I like to take it the extra step, I'm going to go ahead and multiply the 5s out. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. A times A times A, B times B times B. Next page, this is the opposite of what we've done before. We're going to do the first 2 columns together, and then the final column you'll do on your own. You've done this plenty of times before. What makes this a little bit different is that you've got numbers along with the variables. Notice in the first column how I highlighted the numbers. That's to really emphasize them so you know to put them together. Not only do you need to multiply the numbers, but you also have to pay careful attention to the sign. So in this first one, you have 4 times -5. So when you multiply those two together, you get a -20. Next, you multiply the variables. You have x times x, which gives you x squared. There's your first one. Now, go on to the second one. Notice you have 2 negatives. -7 times -3 is +21. And then you have y times y, which is y squared. Next, you have 2 positive numbers. That's easy. 2 times 4 is 8. Then you have x times y, which is simple. You write x times y since you don't need any exponents. The bottom one is -10 times 4, which is -40. And then you have a times b, which you write ab. On to the next column. Notice no more highlighting. I think you get the idea. Let's start with 6 times -4, -24. And we have c times c, which is c squared. Now look at this next one. We've got three different ones. Negative 7 times 3 gives us negative 21. Now, negative 21 times 2 gives us negative 42. Finally, we multiply all three w's together, which gives us w cubed. The next one has three parts as well, but one of them doesn't have a number. Think of that as a 1. So it's like 1 times 7 times 2, which is, 14. Then we have x times x times x, which gives us x cubed. Now for the last one we're doing together. Look at the numbers. It starts with a negative 5 and a negative 2. When you multiply two negatives, you get a positive, so that's 10. Then we have 10 times 3, which gives us 30. So even though we had two negatives, we end up with a positive 30. Then we have x times y times z. There you have it. The rest you can do on your own, just that last column. It's okay if you make mistakes, just do the best you can, and we'll go from there. Have at it.